All right, that's awesome. Thank you, Sheriff Hansen, for welcoming us to this week in your service to this community. Building on that foundation, we're now going to turn to a conversation with a leader at the national level who's helping to shape policy and priorities that affect all of us in this room. Please join me in welcoming Oklahoma's very own Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullin. Stage just a few minutes ago and went over and met with the secretary. I go, man, we're so pumped. We're so pumped that you're here. And then I go, talk about being pumped.
And I think I said you're overcompensating for that pistol on your side.
I had a guy in the elevator say something like that last night. Yeah. But anyway, we visited a couple of months ago. Actually, I was in D.C. I gave you a call. You called me back and asked you to come. You didn't know if we was going to be able to make it, and things worked out for us. We're so blessed to have you here. Thank you.
It is absolutely an honor to be sitting in front of you. Not to mention, it was the only place I knew that I could wear my hat and be safe. The president doesn't like it when I wear it. He says it darkens my eyes. So I have a whole bunch of these hats sitting in the house because we do run a lot of cattle. We have working ranch. We're I don't know 4th, 5th generation, I guess, cow-calf operation. A lot of cutting horses. And when I got elected, the president made it very clear he didn't want me to wear my hat too often. And so when I was walking out the door this morning, I was like, I can wear my hat here. I knew you was going to wear one, and so it was too easy. But no, seriously, guys, thank you. It is an honor, and I'm actually truly humbled to be even sitting in front of you today. I'm looking at a bunch of true heroes in your communities, and I mean that sincerely. No one is more close to the community than the county commissioners and the sheriffs. It is a personal touch. You build relationships with the families that you're arresting, and they know who you are. They know where your home is. Our sheriff back in our home county, Jason Ritchie, just got his house burnt to the ground. Just recently got his house burnt to the ground. He's been sheriff now, I guess, for 10 years. I think it's 10 years now, 8 or 10 years, one of the two. And we grew up together. Jason actually was an evangelist around there before he ran for sheriff. But that's how close you are. Everybody knows where you live. Everybody knows where I live too, except I got a lot of security on me, and Jason is his security. But it's personal, and so for me to be able to sit in front of you right now, I'm telling you, thank you for allowing me to have this time. I'm not a sheriff. I'm not in law enforcement, even though we do have a very large law enforcement agencies around us. We have 80,000 badged officers that work for DHS. So I'm not going to pretend to be one of you. I'm just going to tell you I'm here to have your back. And this administration has your back. We're not one that's going to be looking for faults. We're going to be looking for ways to work together every turn along the way.
Yeah, Mr. Secretary, we have a big question we want to ask here in a minute. You know what it is. But before we go there, when you came in, there was a lot of things that were happening. Can you tell us, how's the transition going since you came in?
Well, you guys have probably been hearing what's happened in Delaney Hall. Delaney Hall, I call balls and strikes very clear. It is not, I don't see gray. It's black and white to me. And I call these elected officials out the way that I see it. And they're looking for clickbait. They're going out there. They're using excuses. We know with Governor Sherrill, we know with the mayor there. The mayor in the town where Delaney Hall is, he's got an interesting background. He doesn't hide from it. Their ideas try to elevate this to Minnesota. We aren't doing that. We have a zero tolerance. If you touch one of our officers, if you verbally assault one of our officers, if you touch our vehicles, we will arrest you. A lot of the vehicles you're seeing assaulted right now, though, those are private employees from the facility managers of Delaney Hall, and I don't have authority over those. We're having a very difficult time with getting local law enforcement to respond. It's not that they don't want to, they want to. The mayor has lifted the curfew. The mayor has brought the barricades back close. When state police came out, they pushed everybody back. Man, let me tell you, New Jersey's got some great state police. Those guys are professionals. They came out, did their job. and they want to do their job, but the governor won't let them do their job. So they keep trying to elevate it to try to make it into a situation. We've been trying to de-escalate it as much as possible. We have zero tolerance on it. Our goal when we first came in is to take DHS out of the news. The more I'm in the news, the more DHS is in the news, the more protesting, the more interference our officers have. No one can name the ICE director 5 years ago. Most people couldn't name the secretary of DHS past Mayor Orcus because DHS was doing their job and people wanted to do their job. It became political during Trump's first administration a little bit. It became very political during the Biden administration, and we want to turn that back down. At DHS, we get more press inquiries on a daily basis than the White House does. It's the hottest topic on news constantly, and I don't want to be there. I simply want to enforce the laws that Congress passed. And the best way we can do that is by trying to become invisible again. I know that sounds crazy. We want to be very out there, but we don't want to be the hot topic. We don't want to be controversial. But I will still call you out. That doesn't mean, but I'm not going to pick the fight. Previous secretary had and I'm not, Kristi Noem is a friend of mine. Her family's a friend of mine. They've had a really rough time, so I'm not piling on this at all. Don't get me wrong. But their approach was much different. And that doesn't mean it was a wrong approach. That just means that we all have a different way to approach things. It's just like your predecessor probably had a different way to run the sheriff department than you have a different way than you run it. And throughout the companies, our service companies, when I'd hire a new manager or a new executive, they'd have a different way to run that department or that company. That's okay. It doesn't mean one's wrong or one's right. It just means that that's not our approach.
Thank you. I just want to make up the point. I'm looking over here and I see some of your staff. And we're so thankful that DHS is really involved with the National Sheriff's Association and work with sheriffs each and every day. The Homeland Security Task Forces are going on, but I know where you want to go with this next question, so I'm gonna go ahead and toss it. We've got 8 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock, but we can go longer if we need to, Mr. Secretary. But what can sheriffs do to help you?
So thank you, because there's two things that we need help with. For us to turn down the temperature and be as invisible as possible, we need to have a real strong partnership in the 287G program. We're going to bring in people that can help you through that process. We understand the 287G program can be very complicated. It's not easy to use. I talked to a software development company just a couple weeks ago to try having, honestly, an app set up for your officers to use. But it's also beneficial to you. If you partner with us with the 287G program, we can pay some of your deputies' salaries. We can pay for equipment. We can even pay for vehicles for you. We have the finances to do it, but we need to have results coming in too. And we can set up detention centers. We can help. And I mean, when I say detention centers, not necessarily an area, but we can set up detention centers in your own jail. Where a lot of county, imagine if I have you raise your hand right now and you talk about if you're running your own jail, imagine that's a thorn in your side. Imagine that is probably a huge cost to you too. And we can partner with that. And in fact, we could even buy the jail off of you in certain target areas and then rent bed space back to you at a very reduced rate and run the jail for you. But we can do that all through the 287G program, and then we're not in the streets arresting these individuals. You guys are simply picking them up for a traffic stop. I'm not asking you to go out and do raids. I'm not asking you to go to job sites. I'm not asking you to pull up to a house being roofed. I'm just saying when you pull them over, or you're doing you're doing traffic stops, you're doing an enforcement zone, and you come in contact with them, how we can partner with you and help your budget tremendously. And we bring in people on. I've got one guy here. Where's Lance at? He's probably in the back. Lance, where you at? Come here. I just heard him go, okay. He's lumbering on. Lance was with the Highway Patrol, as a major with the Highway Patrol, ran their TAC team. So we brought Lance on, and Chris knows Lance well. You're not ever supposed to walk behind me. Dadgum, scare me. I never know what he's going to do. No, he's a good friend of mine. But I just wanted you guys to see Lance because Lance knows the 287G program. Chris can tell you no one does it better in the country. In fact, the state of Oklahoma is number 2 in participation with the 287G program with arrest next to Florida. Huge difference in our population base. And it infuses a tremendous amount of money into the Highway Patrol. And they got it down pat. We have him on staff. You guys want to talk to him? You guys want to utilize him, see how he does it? We'll bring people to you to help you set up the program, and it can be beneficial. Anyways, I know you feel awkward. Thank you, Lance.
Let's give Lance some applause.
He retired 3 weeks ago from the Highway Patrol. His last day on job, unfortunately, he had to pull a guy out, a deputy that was shot in the face. That was on a Friday. On Saturday, he's driving to Oklahoma or to Washington D.C. with us, and he is fully committed and understands that 287G program can be a tremendous asset to you and to the country. If we had the participation of all the county sheriffs that are in this building right now, how much faster that those arrests would move up. 70% of those we arrest, and for ICE, 70% have a criminal background. Regardless of what the left will tell you, regardless, hey, these been here for 20 years, they're just roofing, or they're just framing in houses, they're mowing yards. Yeah, but when you actually get into it, a lot of times when you get in those guys that are doing that, they ran from something. And they either came to your city, came to your county, or they came out of a different country, and they're actually wanted in other countries too. We see it every day, not all the time, every day. So that'd be a big help to us. And also, like I said, if your county, if it's in a target area, your county jail's in a target area, you want to help offload that, help with the expenses on it, let us know. We're interested.
All right, thank you, Mr. Secretary. And you may have covered some of this stuff already. 287G is a big thing, but tell us about some other priorities.
So I think the biggest priorities that we have is restoring confidence back in the American people. We've been demonized so much. That's part of my goal too, is law enforcement isn't there to cause you problems. We're there to actually prevent problems. If you've heard me speak at all in any type of public forum, I always thank you guys because I know your family loves you as much as my family loves me. And I know that you're willing to die so I can get home safe to my family. Now think about that. That most of your deputies are underpaid. Most law enforcement, honestly, is underpaid. And they would do the job for free because they feel called to do it. But the left, and I'm not trying to play politics, I'm just saying what it is, the left has demonized the police as a whole, not just sheriff, federal, local, sheriff departments. It doesn't make any difference. They've demonized it to the point to where somehow we become the enemy. But yet you'll jump in there and take a bullet for the criminal as fast as you will for anybody else. We saw this in Texas when the sniper was up there shooting a van full of detainees, and we had officers run into the van, pulling the detainees out, even though we had 3 get shot. And they didn't say, well, that's not my problem. Those guys are illegals. They did their job without hesitation. This is 6:30 in the morning. Supervisors wasn't even in the building yet. And when that took 17 shots through windows with desk, we had HSI go and lead the charge up the fire escape to get the guy that was on the roof, and he wasn't even kitted up. He just pulled up, saw what happened, and started running because he knew where he had to go. The guy ended up taking his life, which is a pity. I would rather us done that for him. But the truth is that you guys are willing to do that every day without hesitation, and that story has to be told. And that's what I can constantly try to tell too. And I know you guys don't want to be out there, and I say pull your own horn, but you need to. You guys are all elected, and I get that, but you need to tell your stories constantly. Use it as a political platform. I don't care. But you've got to tell your stories and tell why you do it and share the stories of your officers. And you got a social media page, and instead of just showing the people that are getting arrested, show the people that have families, show the people that actually love our country, show the new ones getting sworn in, tell their stories of what they did that day. Highlight and brag about yourself and brag about your deputies on a regular basis, and people like to hear that. When you only talk about all the bad stuff you're doing, then they don't see all the good you're doing either.
Thank you. One last thing as we close is I know you're a man of faith. You're very vocal about that. I have utmost respect. Anybody that follows you since you were before you were in Congress, but in Congress, in the Senate, you're a fighter. And as we watch you transitioning into this role in our industry as law enforcement and public safety professionals, I think most of us, I know I do, and my wife, we have so much respect for your passion for your people, to stand up for them.
I'm going to go over here, but I think it's important because most of you guys don't really know me, but I'm just going to share just a tad bit of story. Okay, when I was raised in a great house, youngest of 7, I learned how to fight out of necessity because I had very mean sisters. People said, oh, they must have been babied. No, it was just the opposite. Being the baby just meant you had to fight harder to get fed. That's why I've got 3 brothers that are twice the size of me, round, not height. And I say that jokingly, but it's actual truth. When I was 15, I moved out because we had a 3-bedroom house, 1 bath. It was an Indian home. My dad worked hard, loving family. There was no issues with that. We weren't going without, but we didn't have any extras either. And I wasn't a great kid. I wasn't bad, but I wasn't a great kid. When I was 17, I'd been kicked out of the town of Eufaula for 6 months. I was on probation in 3 different counties. I showed up on Easter after getting a pretty good fight because that was my goal every weekend, and I usually succeeded at that. And I got thumped on pretty good. And my dad looked at me and he said, son, you're going to either end up in prison or successful. And this is a true story. And I thought, I'll run that prison. And then I watched American History X, and there was this really disturbing shower scene, and I thought, I'm not going to prison. I'm telling you, this is a true story. I turned 18 my senior year. I'm out still getting in a mess. By this time, I'd been shot at I don't know how many times. I got into a mess that night before, and the guy clocked me with a pair of brass knuckles on my face, and we had quite a go at it. The next night, I go looking for all his buddies, and the guy rolled down his window and puts a rifle barrel right at the top of my head and actually bruised my forehead with it. And I started yelling at him, telling him to get out of the vehicle. Said, you got to pull the trigger, get out of the vehicle because you're too big of a, and I said bad words. And the guy that was beside me, he said, he was a good friend of mine. After it was all said and done, he says, I'm never running around with you again. You're too crazy. The guy ended up spending 15 years in prison. This is how bad it was. And to me, I was just going down a really bad path. I just didn't care. I mean, I did care, but I didn't care. I was a good kid, honestly. I went to church out of respect for my parents still yet, but I made no bones about it. I had a youth leader one time ask me if I died today, where I'd go, and I said, I'd go to hell. And I got walked out. I was really calloused. And my wife, for some reason, liked me. And, well, she kept getting boyfriends, and I kept running them off, and she'd get another boyfriend. This is a true story. And she'd run them, and she'd get another one, I'd run them off. And she'd get another one, I'd run them off. And she'd get mad at me. Today, we call that stalking. Back then, it was called determination. Obviously, I was more determined than they were. I won. And so at 19 years old, I convinced her to marry me because I was homeless, and she had an apartment in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and I thought, great idea. I want to move in with her, and her parents would get mad, mine would get mad, but if we get married, it's cool. She said yes. I don't know why. But it was a little bit later, her and I, it was just like a month later, we went out, like, so many young couples. Did what I normally do. I got into a fight. I ended up opening the door with my face because bouncers had hold of me. And I hit the asphalt. We went home, and my wife was mad at me. And I thought, what am I doing? I mean, seriously, I was like, what am I doing? I love my wife. I knew what Christ was all about. I was honestly raised Pentecostal holiness. I just didn't want to serve the Lord. And there's a little church around the corner, and I decided, let's go to that church. It's Assemblies of God church called Woodland Park Assemblies of God. And I walked in there, and I thought, I'm going to do this. And I didn't have like this big moment where, the Lord just broke me. I think the Lord made me wait. I prayed all that day, and it was like nothing. Prayed the next week, it was nothing. I was like, wow, I really have messed up in my life. This isn't what it's supposed to work like. Next weekend, I went, and the Lord just did break me. And I decided that I can really mess things up on my own with Christ in my life. But I can really screw things up when I don't have Christ in my life. And I haven't been perfect at all. I've messed up greatly. My wife is such a saint. She is truly a saint. But looking at the Lord and the way he has a plan for us, I couldn't draw the picture where I'm at today. But I pray every single morning, the Lord opens the doors he wants me to go through and shut the doors that he doesn't. Give me the strength to go through them, the wisdom to know which door is which, and the endurance not to leave one stone unturned. And if you're going to go through that, if you're going to pray that, you better be willing to go out and be uncomfortable every day. And uncomfortable has become my new normal. I know that when I step out on anything that I do, that the Lord's with me, and I don't have to question it. And my bad days are just bad days. But even my son today, who's getting a job in Baku, Azerbaijan, he's out there right now, and he called me today right before I left to fly up here. And I asked him, I said, how was your day today? And he says, it was a long day. And I says, no, Jim, you have two things when you ask how your day is. It's just a day or it's a great day. No excuses. It's just a day or it's a great day. Because every day since I gave my life to the Lord, it has been a day. But some days are great, but it's still just a day. I don't have bad days. I don't care what the day is. I can't afford to have a bad day. You can't afford a bad day because we're all leaders and everybody's looking at us. And so it's just a day. And I couldn't live that way if I didn't have Christ in my heart. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm the biggest hypocrite on this entire room. So don't look at me as this perfect guy that's a preacher. I do not preach at all. I'm the last one who's out there preaching. But it's where I get some type of confidence to know that, hey, I'm good. People can say what they want to say. You can do what you want to do. I'm good. I know that I love you, and I have love in my heart for you, truly. I don't care who you are. I don't hate you. I wake up every morning and say, love the people, love the call, and it's what drives me constantly. And we can get bitter in these positions. You get innocence stole from you because you see the worst of the worst of human beings. And you see mankind do things that shouldn't ever happen. And it can just jait you, and it can just ruin you. It can corrupt you. It can callous your heart. She sat back, and you remember King David was a warrior. And he's the man after the Lord's own heart. And he didn't kill his thousands. He killed his tens of thousands. He was a mighty man. He fought wars, and God still used him. You're a warrior. You're fighting for your community every single day. And God still used David, and David still gave him praise and still walked and had a humbled heart. And I pray every single day that I have a heart of David. And I pray that you guys have a heart of David too, because your community and your deputies and everybody you come in contact with knows that you have every reason to be bitter, to be angry, to be upset. But you shine that little bit of light and you pat them on the back and say, hey, love you. It goes a long ways. And I couldn't do that if I didn't decide to change my heart, because I was going down the wrong path. And so when I talk about the Christ as my Lord and Savior, I do it because I know where I was headed, and I know where I'm at today. Now, I'm in office. I can still get there, but I pray that I don't.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I feel like we need to have an altar call and pass the plate.
No. You can pass the plate.
But I want to segue off of that, and then we're going to close. But you're a real man. Thank you for being a real man, because you know what's important, and that's Jesus. So thank you. Thank you for answering the call to service. Thank you for leading. Thank you for taking all the darts and arrows, like the president says, and your people. We're here with you. We love you. Whatever we can do to help you. Let's give the Secretary another round of applause, and thank you very much for coming.